Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. It is the end of January. It's absolutely bitter cold outside. I think it's in the lower single digits, -10 wind chill. So that means it's a good day to be in the shop, right? Especially when it's nice and toasty and warm and 70 degrees in here. So as promised, I said that I would show you guys recently a candle making video. Now, disclaimer. I'm brand new to this. I'm green. I'm a noob. I'm whatever you want to call it. I am not a professional candle maker that's been doing this for 30 plus years. Okay. Now, with that said, I think I did a decent job with my first mold. Okay, which is I think I showed you guys, but it's this little gnome here holding the coffee, and I don't know. I've made like 4 or 5 of them at this point, and seems to be doing okay. So I figured I would just show you guys what I do, and then you can pick me apart and tell me how stupid or awful or terrible that I'm doing it, so you can give me some good pointers, and maybe we can learn something together. So, but yeah, I don't know. They seem to turn out okay to me. I did get a nice tip from one of my subscribers, Brian, who told me to cover up the top of the mold after you pour the wax, and it'll keep it from settling down, which absolutely was true. So thank you very much, Brian. I do appreciate that advice. But yeah, let's go ahead and dive in, and I'll kind of show you the different tools that I use, everything that you need to get started with candle making 101, including beeswax. So hopefully you already have that covered. You've got your bees, you've already harvested some wax, you've already rendered it. If you haven't, and you have dirty comb and dirty wax and you need to render it, watch my video that I posted about, I don't know, maybe a month ago or so, on how to use a crock pot to render beeswax to make it look nice and pretty like that. Okay. I will put links to all the stuff in the description that I use here in case you want to procure or purchase any of these for your own use. But yeah, let's go ahead and dive in and get started. Okay, first thing obviously is you're going to need some rendered beeswax. Nice, clean. The cleaner the better. I prefer cappings wax to make the candles. I just think it looks nicer. I do have other beeswax over here that's from like brace comb and burr comb, and you can see it's just a darker color. It's not that there's anything wrong with this wax whatsoever. It's perfectly fine. I just don't think it looks as pretty for a candle, which, you know, does have something to do with presentation, right? You do want it to look nice. This is the wax that I give back to the bees in terms of waxing foundation or something along those lines. So first thing to do is you need to get some sort of wax melter. I like this one. I got this off Amazon. Like I said, I'll put links down there for you. It's called the Wax Master Melter by Soylite. What I like about it, it's a nice size. It's not too big. It's not too small. But what I really like about it is how quickly it heats up and melts. Now, you know, you plug it in, obviously. It's got this little built-in thermostat here, which you turn it on, and I've found kind of the sweet spot. Let's see if I can get the camera angle right here, to be around this 200 degrees or so. Now, melting a big pot of wax like this, I will temporarily turn it up a little higher to maybe 250. And this thing heats up fast. So it's got a heating element underneath it here. And it's infinitely quicker than a crock pot, okay? Crock pot, if I were to try to heat this much wax up in my crock pot, it would take hours, and I'm not kidding. This will be melted and ready to go within 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. This whole pot will be liquid beeswax. And so I really like it for that reason, because I don't have a lot of time to sit here and wait for the beeswax to get ready. And it's dangerous to leave beeswax melting and in liquid form when you're not around, because it is flammable. And so it's, just a safety precaution. If you're going to be melting beeswax, you need to be present at all times. So therefore, I want something that melts it quickly. Now, you can burn, you don't want to boil beeswax. I mean, you can get it too hot, not in the sense that you're going to damage the beeswax, but you absolutely can damage your molds. So if you pour boiling hot beeswax into a candle mold, you are going to damage that silicone, whatever, lining on the inside. Ask me how I know. And you've ruined your mold. So what I have found is kind of a nice sweet spot where it's not too hot, but is still plenty well melted, is around that 200 degrees, 190, 200 degrees. But if I want to get this melted quicker, I'll temporarily crank it up to 250, wait 10 or 15 minutes. It'll be melted and it'll be ready to go. So I know you don't want to stand here and wait for 10 minutes, so we'll be back here in a second. Okay, while that's doing its thing and we're waiting on that to melt, I figured I can go ahead and walk you through the other things that you're going to need to be able to make candles. So first and foremost, I think you need some sort of pouring container, right? Because this comes with a little spigot and you're not going to want to fill up your mold just hanging it underneath the spigot, right? So you need something intermediate to be able to pour your melted beeswax into, to be able to easily pour into your mold. And so I'll put a link to this. Again, I'm pretty much sure everything here I got off Amazon, except the candle mold itself. I will tell you, you can probably find candle molds anywhere, but I'll go ahead and put a plug in for Man Lake. I think they have an awesome lineup for candle molds, and I can save you 10% if you use the discount code BEES10. You'll get 10% off all your candle making supplies and candle molds. So be sure to check it out. I think they actually have a really good selection. So you'll need one of these or two. Pick up an extra one. They're not that expensive. And then you're going to need some mold release lubricant. So this is a spray. And what it's used for is, and I'll show you at the end of this video, taking a finished wax candle out of the mold. And this makes it so much easier to do. So what you do is you spray this inside your mold, and it just makes the release so much easier to where you can get your candle out of the mold. So there's lots of different brands of mold release. I don't know if they're all created equal or not. I've been using this one for several years now on the beeswax. That you guys have probably seen those little 1 ounce bars that I make, or the half-pound bars. I've been using this for that, to release those, and I sell those at the farmer's market. I've been doing that for a few years now, and this works great. So I would recommend this brand. I'll put a link in the description. The other thing that you're going to need is one of these little doohickeys. Now, this almost looks like something that you would use for, I don't know, sewing. It's got a little bitty eye on the end there. And the reason for that is you're going to take your wick, which I'll go ahead and talk about this right now. Most of the molds that you buy will give a recommendation on the wick size that you're supposed to use. And it'll say like number 1, number 2, whatever. This says number 1 square braid, and it's 25 feet of wick. This is the wick that was recommended when I purchased this mold. And so what you do is, the bottom of this mold, and I'll show you here in a minute, but see where the wick pops out there? Well, that's pretty tight, because obviously you don't want the beeswax to be able to fall out of the mold. And so how do you get the wick shoved through there? Well, that's what this doohickey does. So, and I'll show you that in more detail, but you just thread it through that eye, stick it through the mold, and that allows you to get the wick where it needs to be for making the candle. And then this is, I don't even know if this came with a kit or anything, but I just use this to kind of stir the wax and get it ready. And that's it. That's all you need to get started. I'm sure there's way more extravagant methods and whatnot. Like I told you guys, I'm new to this. This is just what I'm doing, and it's worked very well for me. So kind of the point of this video is you too can get started in making candles from your extra beeswax with minimal expense, minimal starting expense. You don't need 60 different tools and devices to be able to make some cool candles. This is already starting to see how quickly this melts. I really like it. It goes real fast. So we've only got a couple more minutes, and this is going to be all liquid, and we'll get to work. Okie dokie. Our wax is good and melted, as you can see. I'm going to set the lid aside, and now we are ready to pour the wax. And so the first thing that we need to do is get the wick ready. So I'll go ahead and unwrap some of this. Oh, actually, hey, if you read, it says pull. All right, some scissors here. Okay, so take this little sticker thing off, and then you want to take this little, I keep calling it a doohickey because I don't know what it's really called. But you want to try to feed it through this little eyelet here. And hopefully I can do this relatively quickly on camera, because it is kind of, yeah, there we go. Okay. I'll just trim off a little bit of excess there. All right, just like that. It's not hard. Now, every mold's different, right? But this particular mold, that hole is right here. And so that's what I'm shooting for. And so all you do is just stick the doohickey in there. All right, and it comes up like that. And you just keep feeding it. And then pull it out. Oops. Hang on to it. Pull your doodad out. And that's it. And so this really just needs to be to where you can bobby pin it. And so the next step, it's important, don't forget, is your mold release. Equally important, do not spray your mold release around your coffee. So move your coffee out of the way. And then what I've done, you can move this wick out of the way, you don't really need it for the mold release, but I've just kind of spread it apart here, give the mold release a good shake, and just make sure you get in the nooks and crannies. That's it. You don't need a lot. Okay. Pull your wick back out. Now, take your bobby pin, and I do it crosswise, not in the same direction as the split. I don't really know if that matters. Probably not, but give yourself a little bit of excess there, and then pull down on the wick on the underside here until it's pretty taut, okay? You want the wick that's here to be straight. And so now, as it's balancing there, take your rubber bands and start securing the mold together so that it can't split open while it's drying. Doesn't have to be super tight. Just make sure that it's kind of lined up, like right there. You want to make sure it's not shifted off like this, right? You want to make sure that it's lined up, and it generally wants to do that itself, okay? So then, kind of a trick, or at least what I've been doing, of course I had some longer wick before because this mold release makes this top here pretty slick, and you do want to make sure that the bobby pin sort of stays where it's supposed to, like in the middle. In other words, you don't want the wick and the wax drying off to the side, right? And so since this is a brand new package of wick, what I've done in the past was I actually went the other way with it, which now that I'm thinking about it, it might make more sense to feed it the other way. Well, I don't think it matters. But you could just take a piece of tape. I've got some tape here. Whatever it takes just to keep it from not shifting. I don't think it's critical. You all correct me if I'm wrong. But I've got some Gorilla Tape here. And if you just secure that so it doesn't go anywhere, I think you're good. And I'm just making sure that it's taut. Of course, the mold release that's not working too well. All right, we're gonna try something different. Okay, so after thinking about this a little bit more, what I was doing before that was different than this new package of wick was basically feeding it from the other way. So I've pulled the majority of it through, and what I'm doing, and I'll show you why, is this is going to be the very top of the candle. So this will determine how much wick you want remaining out of the top of your candle when it's finished. So that's it. That's all you need. Now you've got all this extra that's hanging out at the top. But the nice thing is, when you do your bobby pin, and you go to secure this, this is what I did before. I used the rubber bands to hold the wick in place. So just take a little bit of this right here, go underneath a rubber band, and that's all you need. And then you can just keep repositioning it until you get it centered right where it needs to be. And that rubber band will hold it in place. Just like that. That's it. And so now it's ready. Make sure it's all tight and secure. Okay. Fill it up about half full. And then just be very careful and pour. And get it close to the top there. Try to keep it from touching the bobby pin. I hope my hat's not in the way. But turn my hat around backwards, Dave, so the hat's not in the way and you can see. Oh, how's that? A little bit more. A little bit more. Just keep topping it off till you get close. Boom, perfect. And then just dump your excess back in. That's it. Now, this is that tip Brian was telling me. So there's nothing to do now but let it set and rest, right? So that it doesn't get too, or you want it to cool before you try to obviously break that mold apart. And don't be antsy, because if it's still soft and pliable, you break it apart, you're going to ruin the candle. So just be patient with this. Like I said, I leave it overnight, and that's worked fine for me. I'm not like in some sort of commercial production here where I need to crank out 150 candles in one day. So that works just fine for me. What I did last time, taking Brian's tip, and, you know, Brian, anybody else, tell me if there's a better method. But I think you just want to kind of cover it. And so I just took a paper towel there, making sure that it doesn't dip into the wax. And then I used my mold release just to set on top of that, because that bobby pin is making it to where it doesn't want to sit flush. I don't know, maybe you could put this on top of it too. Just something to cover it is all I did. And it works well. So we'll go ahead. Like I said, we're going to go ahead and leave this overnight, or at least for another 5 or 6 hours. Make sure it's plenty cool. And then we'll break the mold apart. Okay, let's go. This is finished and ready to go. I leave these overnight. I'm sure you don't have to leave it that long. It could probably dry within, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 hours, something like that. But I just want to make sure it's completely set before I break this mold apart. So just start by taking your rubber bands off. Remove this bobby pin. Just be careful. And now where the mold splits, you just start to pull it apart. And this is where that mold release pays for itself, because it'll be so much easier to get this candle out because of that mold release sprayed on there. Makes it very slick. And you just work it. Just be careful. You don't want to break it. Pry it apart. Just easy. Just keep working it around. Get it to release. And you can, I don't know if you can see, but down there is where his little hat is. And so just be careful. You don't want to break that off, right? So just be cognizant of where that is when you go to pull this out and release it. There we go. And my dad will be thrilled to know that I just saw a mouse run across the floor. Time to set the traps again, Dad. Okay, just like that. And then I pull straight up to get the wick. I don't know if you can see down in there. But pull this straight up so the wick comes right out, and boom. There you go. There's your happy little gnome. Now, let's show you the... Now the mold, you're going to want to kind of clean this out a little bit. Just make sure if you see any extra wax that got stuck to the silicone here, go ahead and scrape that off, because that could create a... Well, I've found out in my minimal experience, that can create a blemish in the actual candle. If a piece of wax was stuck on there, it doesn't quite get remelted and it can create a blemish. So I just try to make sure that that's clear, but that's it. Set your mold aside. And now, the only obvious thing left to do, trim your wick at the very bottom here. And now, I personally have not done this yet, but I've watched other YouTube videos of candle makers. And what they will do to make this smoother and flat is they will get a hot plate, and they will, for about a couple seconds, burn and melt the very bottom of the candle here to make this smooth and flat. I don't really know if that's necessary. It could just be a cosmetic thing. It looks better, but this sits just fine the way it is. I don't really see an issue. I do have that one little stove if I wanted to fire it up, and I could stick this on top of that little pan that I have and melt it. I'm just not that worried about it. So tell me why I should be, for those of you that have been doing this a lot longer. But I don't know. I think that looks pretty good, don't you? And that's really all there is to it. It is not that hard. Maybe I'm oversimplifying it. Maybe I'm missing some critical steps. You tell me, but I don't know. I think that looks pretty good to me, and my mom and my wife and my mother-in-law all thought that they were extremely cute, so that passes the cuteness test, right? And I'm excited to be able to have this, and I'm going to buy some other molds, you know, to be able to have a small lineup of candles to offer my customers at the farmer's market. You know, it's a chance. I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of a novelty, but it's a chance for you to get a candle that's made out of 100% pure beeswax. And I don't know. Maybe it doesn't seem like you can just get that anywhere. You have to know a beekeeper, or maybe Amazon sells them, but you don't really know what you're getting there, right? But yeah, I think it turned out pretty good. So that's it. That's how easy it can be to make your own beeswax candles with extra beeswax that you have laying around after processing your honey and whatnot. It's really simple and easy and straightforward, and I just wanted to share with you all how I do it. So that's it for this video. Hope you guys liked it. If you did, please sure to give it a thumbs up. God bless you and your bees. You guys have an awesome day, and I'll see you on the next one.